So this is 2019 Ram 1500. This is a Laramie version, so the high spec model. One just coming across here on the track now. So this is $100,000 worth of ute, plus on-road costs. Now you can get one for $80,000, drive away, a bit of a lower spec one, but we've got the high spec one here just for a bit of a look. So of course, it's powered by 5.7 litre Hemi V8, 291 kilowatts, 556 newton meters, I think. A fair amount of power. And it's pretty nice to drive a big, high-powered petrol V8 every now and then. It's definitely got a real point of difference compared to all the other utes out there, obviously. One cool thing, it's about $5,000 for this option, but it's got a RAM box. Side of the tray here, look at that. Awesome box. There's one on each side. They actually lock on the central locking. They've got drain bungs, so you can put ice in them. Put your tackle, your fish, your recovery gear, tools, whatever. You can actually lock them up, which is pretty cool. They sort of sit, as you can see, the side, you probably won't be able to see, it's a bit dark, but the tray becomes like rectangle shape that builds all around the wheel wells sort of thing. So you use that space, and then you've got a more sort of flat area in here. But that's it. $100,000 or $80,000 for the Express model. And you know, the Ranger Wildtrak is what, you know, pushing towards 70, I'm pretty sure. Ranger Raptor is 75. Amarok V6 is around that $70,000 mark, and the X-Class V6 is right up there as well. So this thing isn't an outrageous proposition when you put it that way. It's big, it's definitely bigger than all those cars. It's got more power. It's got equal amounts of torque to those V6 diesels, but it's definitely got the performance. Running through an 8-speed gearbox, it's actually really nice on the road. The gearbox sort of runs more towards economy than not, so it does sort of change down. It's got an eco mode that deactivates cylinders. It turns itself into a V6 and a V4 when it can, just to save that fuel, and there's a little eco thing that pops up on the dash to tell you when that's happening. So it's all pretty good. Anyway, I'll catch up with you later. I'm gonna go for a drive. So this is actually, funnily enough, another ute with a coil sprung rear end. This is duck under and have a quick look. Ugh. So that's it there. Big bump stop. There's a fair bit of bump stop space there as well, which is quite good. There are your uppers and your lowers. And then the big link at the back running across there, and a sway bar. But someone who knows their Dynas well will be able to tell me what size Dyna diff that is. I assume it would be a, I don't know, 60 or a 70 or something. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what it looks like underneath. There's not a whole lot of protection under here, to be honest. It does have a bit of an on-road bias. It's not a full off-road vehicle. The chassis doesn't look huge. It's not sort of like a 2500 with the big Cummins. It is a light duty truck, is what the Americans call it. But it is a lot lighter. It's about 900 or a touch over 900 kilos lighter than the 2500, which is massive. Absolutely massive. I imagine most of that is engine, but still, I think the chassis is just a little bit lighter duty. The diffs are a bit lighter because it doesn't have 1,000 newton meters of torque and massive towing capacities. So just under the front here we are. It's actually a alloy lower control arm. Looks like the upper is as well. Oh, looks pretty normal there. There's a lot of clearance, to be honest, but not much protection. I mean, that's your front diff just there. The engine's fairly compact, the V8. You can see a big exhaust crossover pipe there, a few other things. But yeah, like a good full drive review is still yet to come, I think, for this car. Be tow hook. I'll have to find out if they're actually rated for anything or not, or just for in case you break down. It's hard to say if this thing is a real proposition off-road. Obviously the ground clearance isn't going to be that fantastic. I mean, you look at the front there, the approach angle is not going to be phenomenal. Similar to the departure angle, those side steps eat into your clearance pretty quickly. But what the strength of this thing is the size and the power and all that sort of thing. I mean, if people are going to be spending $100,000 on a Land Cruiser 79 with a bit of fruit, 200 series Land Cruiser, maybe even Y62 Patrol, this thing is a contender for them because it's a big ute. It's got a big petrol V8. Some people are starting to really love petrol, and for pretty good reason too. Alrighty, I'll just stick my head under the bonnet here. 5.7 litre Hemi, revs up to 5,500 or something like that. Heaps of power, heaps of torque. It's all ready to go. And the good thing about it is that the power is really accessible. It just revs away and it just moves. Peak torque is definitely up in the rev range, say, compared to a diesel. But that's the way it goes. It's a funny sort of top radiator hose here. Maybe that's part of the conversion. It sort of runs from one side to the other. Alternator right up the top there is nice to see. It is very open. You can sort of see that's the ground there. There's no real sort of bash plate or anything underneath. Right at the front. Would get a little bit muddy, I suppose. Battery here. There's a lot of space on this side. So if you did want to mount some things, additional stuff, maybe you could squeeze a battery in there. Maybe not, I'm not sure. This is the airbox, good size. Let this big thing breathe. That runs in through the inner guard here, which is a decent setup. Don't see those too often these days, do you? The old radiator cap. Yeah, that's the engine. And it's a Perla.